Right now, your body is a chaotic storm. You are a swirling mass of thermal noise, electrical signals, and constant cellular death and regeneration. The physical matter making up your brain is in a state of perpetual, violent turnover. Yet you wake up every single day feeling like the exact same person. This presents a difficult paradox. If your neural networks freeze into a perfectly repeating loop, you experience a seizure. If they fire entirely at random, your identity dissolves into pure static. Maintaining a persistent self requires a mathematically precise balancing act. To keep you, the brain must revisit prior states of thought often enough to retain your memories, while shifting enough to avoid a sterile loop. Human identity functions as a continuously sustained dynamical regime. It survives the chaos of the present by constantly moving, anchored by a past it never quite retraces. Researchers describe this mechanism as structured reentry, a concept formalized in topological resonance field theory. The theory suggests your mind maintains continuity by looping back around to its own history, while adapting slightly with every single cycle. This reentry relies on two coupled forces. You have a fast, active field of immediate sensory thought, but this rapid activity is constrained by a slower, structural scaffold built from your long-term memories. As shown, when a system loops back without exactly repeating, the graph forms a torus. These trajectory lines wrap the surface infinitely, creating stable geometry, but never perfectly overlap. This quasi-periodic behavior allows the mind to integrate new inputs while preserving historical structure. We see this geometry at work in functional MRI scans. These widespread, correlated patterns are known as quasi-periodic patterns, infra-slow waves of activity that physically match the global coordination required for a toroidal state space. Maintaining this precise geometry requires a massive expenditure of biological energy. This implies that the brain is exploiting a hidden structural rule that exists deep within the physical universe. To find that rule, we have to examine the geometry of time. Standard physics treats time as a single uniform string, an arrow that everything travels along. But physicist Gunther Kletaceka proposes a different framework based on a 3+3 metric. This diagram outlines a coordinate system where time possesses three distinct dimensions: the green quantum scale, the blue interaction scale, and the red cosmological scale. They represent distinct temporal geometries operating at different scales, ranging from subatomic particle flutter to cosmic expansion. This three-dimensional time metric means the universe possesses a rigid, built-in architecture. Every event and every interaction is governed by the specific geometric constraints of these temporal scales. Under this framework, matter is a property of time itself. Physical structures emerge as inevitable byproducts of the underlying temporal geometry. This reframes E equals mc squared. Rather than a conversion factor for an object, c squared represents the geometric exchange rate between the temporal and spatial sectors of the metric. Kletaceka's math shows that mass arises when diffuse energy is compressed temporally. At specific thresholds, called eigenvalues, the energy reaches a point where it can no longer spread out spatially. It is forced to fold into a cyclical, bounded standing wave. These bounded temporal states are what we recognize as subatomic particles. Mass is the result of measuring that temporally compressed energy from within the metric. All physical reality conforms to these temporal resonance rules. From the smallest electron to the largest galaxy, structure is the result of energy meeting the geometric requirements of a 3D time universe. If the universe generates structure through temporal compression, we can precisely locate consciousness within that multidimensional hierarchy. As the diagram indicates, the human brain operates at the T2 interaction scale, perfectly positioned between the quantum world and the vast cosmos. The T2 scale acts as a temporal Goldilocks zone. It provides enough compression to maintain stable memory scaffolds, but remains shallow enough to allow for the rapid, dynamic changes required for active thought. The brain's coupled fields didn't create this balance. Millions of years of evolution discovered how to exploit a pre-existing temporal sweet spot to achieve conscious continuity. The toroidal shape of the human mind is a direct geometric manifestation of temporal physics. This is known as topological inheritance. Biological systems self-organized by falling into the deepest, most stable basins carved out by the universe's background geometry. A conscious human mind is a localized, multidimensional temporal integration. It is a physical torus of information, maintaining its identity by surfing the temporal architecture of the cosmos. You exist because the geometry of time itself provides the structural blueprint for your identity. Every thought and every memory is an expression of that deeper geometric architecture.